Okay, there we go. All set. Hello, everybody. It's really nice to be here. I guess I will speak in English because they asked me to do it, so that's fine with me. So the idea for this talk is about how to analyze source code to look for open source intelligence. So you are more like pen testing, doing pen testing or recon, open source intelligence, hopefully you will find this talk interesting. If not, if you are not into this subject, hopefully you will find this talk as well interesting. So let's move on because I think we are bad in time, so I guess I will move forward. Okay, my name is Simon Roses. I usually go to a conference, and CB has invited me here to speak, so thanks. Really appreciate it. Usually I go to different conferences and talk on different subjects, and usually I went also to the US DARPA, to the Pentagon, to talk about one of our technology we developed here in Spain. So that was quite interesting, being a foreigner there, really interesting experience. And Bullnex is a small startup here in Spain, but we usually travel quite a lot to Europe, US, and Asia doing pen testing and different type of work. So the objective for this talk will be some very basic source code analysis. And mostly what I'm more interested in is how to apply open source intelligence techniques into source code. Usually when we talk about open source intelligence, people go to the search engines, to the social networks. Of course, we will do that as well. But not, the idea with this is we go, before that, we go to the source code, because we can find some really interesting piece of information there. So we will cover a bit of introduction, what we're talking here, what we're looking for. Then we will talk what are we targeting in open source intelligence, OSINT, and then we will do some conclusions about this work. Keep in mind, this is a work in progress. I have not been seeing, there are some people starting to talk about this subject. Actually, I went to DEF CON, and I was talking about this, and there were some more people talking about it, but still it's quite a new field. There's not much research have been done, so if you guys want to go into this subject, there's a lot of things to be done, so that's really awesome. So yeah, this is our work in progress. I will give you some ideas, and hopefully people, if you are into this, you can work on your own. So yeah, work in progress, keep this in mind. Introduction. So this is like a framework, many of the frameworks, different frameworks for pen testing. That one is from the PTS, the Penetration Testing Execution Standard, quite common. So yeah, we have all the different phases, right? Pre-engagement, intelligence gathering, fear modeling, vulnerability assessment, analysis, exploitation, post-exploitation, and reporting. Usually as pen tester, we hate reporting, so usually we try to skip that, but we have to do that. We have to give something to the customers. But here for example, I like to spend a lot of time in recon, in intelligence gathering, vulnerability analysis, and post-exploitation. Usually exploitation is fun to write an exploit, but you just should launch the exploit and you get access. But post-exploitation is really funny as well. But today I'm not going to talk about too much post-exploitation, so I will focus mostly in intelligence gathering. So the target, developers. I'm sure many of you will recognize Stephen Ballmer, former Microsoft CEO, and he was talking about developers. In the case of Microsoft, of course, it's one of the most important thing besides the source code. But actually, I would say even the people is more important than the source code. But still, developers is very, and many companies. Microsoft is a technology company, right? It's a software company. But even in other companies that they are not technology focused, developers are starting to get a lot of attraction. For example, in many fintechs and financial companies, developers, science people are getting more important than financial people. So the same, developers. So in our target here, what we are doing here right now instead, for example, I have to do a pen testing in a company, I will target developers. And that's the approach I'm following here. Why? Because usually developers are technical people, as us, of course, but usually they're not security savvy, meaning they usually are not that familiar with security and all that stuff. So that's perfect for us. And also they are also very influencers. They can influence the higher management, the top level management to hire, to buy this technology or make some trial, go for this company. So usually they have a lot of, they can influence the management. So that's perfect. So that's perfect for us as pen testers to target them. Usually they have also access to many critical systems or information and systems because they are the developers, they have to get access to the systems and the data. And from a pen tester point of view, when we are doing this, when we are targeting the developers, there are things we can exploit. And we love that. One of the first things we can exploit is science fiction. Probably the chances are developers will love, and even not necessarily developers, but most of the developers I know, they do love science fiction. That's something we can think about it. Of course, there are also many of them like anime, Japanese cartoons. Of course, porn. Internet is for porn, right? So that's something we can target. And of course, beer. So there are different things, subjects we can exploit. And we are looking for all this intelligence about our company. That's something we have to keep in mind. That's something, stuff we can use to get access to systems. The methodology we are following is quite simple. It's first, of course, this only works with companies that has public repos. If we are from the outside, we can also do this internally, but we will talk a little bit about that. But usually, this works with companies that have repo. But the good thing is more and more companies today, they embrace open source software. So many companies are putting open code repos out there. So that's good for us. We can analyze that. Many companies do that for marketing. Many of them do it for marketing purposes. Others want to share with the community. Perfect. We don't care why, but as long as they do, that's perfect. So first thing, identify the code repo. We can target an organization or we can target an individual, like a developer, for example. Then we can do different searches on the source code, looking for open source patterns. And then, of course, we have all that data, and now we can go to the social networks and do all the things we usually do. In code repositories, we have a bunch of different repos we can go right now, right? We have GitHub, probably right now, I think it's one of the best, or the top, I would say, right now in public repos, right? Pretty much all the companies, or many companies at least, have a public repo there. We can go there and check out what they have published. So GitHub will be one of the top places I will go. Bitbucket, SourceForge, CodePrex from Microsoft, Google Code from Google, of course. So there's a bunch of different, and there are many more, actually. Those are just one of the top code repos available, but there are many more. And usually also that's externally, right? We are doing a pen testing from the outside, so we can go to these code repos and check it out what's there. But actually, we have access internally to the network. Internally, many companies are also putting internal reports. And internal reports are also very interesting because we can also do changes to the code. If we are malicious, we are not. We are just doing pen testing to help the company. But attackers are using these internal reports to make changes. That happened to Linux kernel a few years ago. Well, some years ago, and there have been several cases that people are that hackers are abusing the internal repos code. So yeah, internally we are doing an internal pen testing. We should also look for code repos if they have any, like Jenkins or Apache Subversion. So there are a bunch of popular repos that companies are using internally. So keep that in mind when you guys are doing an internal pen testing. Look for that because chances you will find some interesting stuff there. And usually it's not very well protected as well. So what we're looking for? Doing just intelligence gathering, we look from the classic stuff. We have IPs, domain names, URLs, emails, credit cards, phone numbers. Yeah, we can find some of this stuff in source code. So that's perfect. We can use that. But also we can now start looking for new things. We can look for Twitter alias. People are starting to put their Twitter in source code. They do comments, and that's perfect. We can analyze the comments to see what people say. That's quite interesting, and we will talk about that in a little bit. And also we can see the activity. When people are working, what time of the day, what days. So we can get an idea of the activity of the company, how people are working. So that's perfect. For example, in Microsoft, there's pretty much 24 hours. So people can go where they want. So yeah, you look at the activity, you will see pretty much 24 hours people run the code. But yeah, that's not very common. So, and that, for example, the activity is very, people use that a lot when you do, for example, malware analysis. But we can do the same for source code. We can get an idea how long, how fast, when are people making changes to the code. Okay, so that's perfect. We can get an idea. The idea here is to get a feeling of the company, of the developers at the end. Okay, so now we will move to open source the developers. Some ideas here. Usually source code, I mean, usually when you have to do code reviews, I usually do a lot of code reviews for the customers, and they don't give me anything. They just give me the code. Actually, it's the only thing I need, but documentation is also nice, but usually you don't get that. Yeah, so in this case, we have to read the code. There's no other way. So yeah, so here we have, read the source, look, right? And here we have, so now we are going to see some examples of pieces of information we can get. For example, we have here a fuzzing tool, a well-known fuzzing tool, so I'm sure many of you are familiar with this fuzzing tool. The American fuzzy loop is one of the most popular fuzzers right now. And here, look in this, we have just one of the files. This is the comment at the start of the file, and we have some comments here. But now I have some pieces of information here. So I have a name, I have an email address, a domain, and a company name. So now I have different pieces of information by just reading the source code. I didn't start looking, for example, let's say I have to do a pen testing for this company. So I don't go to the search engines right now. First, what I do is I go to the code reports to see what's there. And now I start to get in a lot of information and have not done any search yet. That's quite interesting. And here, the same thing. Okay, I'm looking at another well-known security tool, AirCat. And now I can see when they started, who started that, the name, an email address. I should see some relationship here. Now I still see that Thomas started in 2006 till 2017, and Christopher also went to 2004, 2005. So there's also a relationship there. I can start making relationships. So that's interesting. That's something we have to also keep in mind when targeting companies. And also we see more people there, like Corey, Joshua, Simon. So we start seeing creating relationships there. So that's interesting from a point of view for pen testing. It's something we can abuse, because if, for example, I get send an email or try to send a fake email from one of these guys, chances are maybe the other guy will reply faster, or he will do some action if I ask. For example, so now I have a relationship. That's something I can try to abuse. So now know your tools, right? So now we will talk about a bunch of tools we can use. One of the tools I like was GitHub Rank. But GitHub Rank was quite nice to use, but the domain has expired, and they have not renewed the domain, so now it's in sale. We cannot use that anymore, but still it was quite nice to use. But other domain we can use is GitHub Awards, for example. There are a bunch of different domains we can use. And what these domains do is they will do searches for GitHub reports with the more popular GitHub reports. So we can start doing searches for an organization, a particular individual, and we can see some stuff there. And we can start getting information about the company or this target, whatever. So that's quite interesting, nice to use these kind of sites to see how active they are. Another tool I like is GitRub. GitRub was created I think 2 years ago. And it was a tool developed to perform reconnaissance in GitHub reports. And the idea for this tool is to look for credentials and privacy sensitive information, like tokens, whatever. So it's more like a security tool in the sense like looking for misconfiguration and stuff, sensitive information that should not be there when we are releasing the code. But we can also use for open source intelligence, because this tool also gathers the persons behind the code and the Twitter and different type of information. So it's quite nice to use. This is the web tool is a way you install it in your box and just launch it. It's very easy to use. And here we have an example. And it is just a web app. For example, let me put the video there. I have it here. Go. There. Okay. There we go. So what that I have to can I get that bigger? Let me try to change that. Where is the mouse? Let me change that. Okay, there we go. With two screens, I'm getting crazy. Okay, so now we go. So now the RIP Hub, the way it works is quite simple. There is a new assessment, the green button there up in the corner. You just go there and fill the repo you want to analyze, just launch, and just wait for results. Piece of cake. So here what we have done is we have downloaded different. We have not downloaded the code actually from the reports. The only thing we have downloaded is the name of the files and the people behind, I mean, the developers and that information. So here we have like the report from Metasploit, from Raspberry Pi, ID Software, the creator of the Doom game and Quake. So here, for example, we have some files. And this tool, what we'll do is we look for sensitive information, the tokens, passwords, and different type of stuff. Perfect. Yeah, I think I'm all set. Okay, so sorry about that. So here, for example, we have one of the developers of Raspberry Pi, Damien. And from now looking for this, I know the name, I have a picture, I have the name, I have a Twitter account, I have location. So I'm starting to get a lot of information about this guy. So that's quite nice. Especially when I'm doing pen testing for a company. If I'm doing for a pen testing for Raspberry Pi, for example, for the foundation, I'm starting getting information about them. Another guy here, and so same here. We have email, name. So there's a bunch of different. So I can start getting all that info about this guy. So GitRub. It's a nice tool to start doing recon on GitHub repos. Okay. Back. Okay. So that was a GitHub, quite nice tool to use. Very simple. Perfect. So we have also, you can also write your own tools. And usually at the end, we also do that because many times we want some custom stuff. So we have different people have already write different crawlers we can use for GitHub and other. In this case, they are specific for GitHub, but if you want to look for another repo, same thing. Just do a Google search and you will find different crawlers you can use. But yes, here are some other crawlers you can use for GitHub. Okay, now we will talk about something very funny, and hopefully parental advisory here. Whatever you see here is not my fault. It's in the source code. Keep that in mind. So what we're looking here is to analyze the angriness of the developer. We want to see if these people, this developer are angry or happy, because when people are angry, they don't care about anything. So they don't care about security in the company, so that's perfect. We can target that. Doesn't mean when they are happy they will do better security, but for sure when they are angry, they don't do anything. Okay, so now that we're looking here is for bad things in code. So here we have an example. This is the Linux kernel. about all the different versions, what people are complaining. So actually, you guys look at the chart. You can see downstairs the different words: fuck, shit, cap, bastard, piss, and you can find these words in the source code. And you can see, for example, in version, what's that? 269, between 269 and 304, there was a lot of swearing there. So I don't know, I don't know why. I guess there were a lot of changes in the Linux kernel, so they were complaining a lot, I guess. But that's real. So you guys go to the kernels, you can find this kind of words there. So it's quite interesting to see what's going on, what the developers are saying about the code. If we are doing code reviews, that's also good for us. We can look for this kind of words, and chances are we can find a bug there. But not everything is about bad words. There's also some good words there. And the same here. So we have also some love, good, nice, sweet, and kiss. So not everything is bad words. There's also some good words. That's fine. And actually, you can see also the good words. There was a lot of good words there about good before, even before the bad words in the versions. So that's quite interesting to see that. So one other thing, okay, comments. So we were looking for the comment, right? We were looking for all these bad words, good words in comments. We have to keep in mind that there's a lot of people in comments. You guys write code, you will know many times you put code in the comments or whatever. So this is a lot of data cleaning we have to do. You are guys into data science and big data, that's a term you are familiar with. We have to clean the data, same here. There's a lot of stuff we don't care. There's a lot of code, we don't care about that in comments, but charts, like stars and whatever. And there's also a lot of useless text. For example, license stuff, we don't care about that. It doesn't give me any data on that. So for example, in comments, let me show here. For example, let's go Quake. I have already generated all these files because if I do that, sometimes it can take some time to do it. So, okay. So this is the source code for Quake, and I was looking for the bad words, and we have a tool, and we will talk about that in a little bit, that generates this file, and here we can see all the bad words there, the file. And this is the code, the source code for the Quake 3 game. Very, very popular. I mean, it's an old game now these days, but a few years ago it was very popular. So for example, funny thing is, I don't know where is that. I cannot see. Says there. Okay, so one of the files there, I mean, I cannot show you because I don't want to switch to the virtual machine and everything, so I will pass, but I will let you guys do that. For example, there in the file, you guys can see the clusterfuck there. So I was looking around all this, and I went to that file to check it out. And actually, there's a buffer overflow in that function. And they're talking about, the clusterfuck are talking about that. So that's perfect. So now there's a buffer overflow I can exploit there. But that's another subject. So using this technique, we can start looking to find security bugs. Okay, so let's see. Where's my mouse? I'm getting crazy here. Okay, there we go. There we go. For example, more examples. There's a bunch of Doom and different things. There's, for example, now we have with the comments. As you can see, let's take an example there. I cannot see. Okay, there we go. So, for example, we have an example here of one of the projects we are checking, and this is the comment. We are extract all the comments from all the files in this project. So here, as you can see, there's a lot of cleaning to do. So that's one of the things we are working right now: how to clean all this stuff. So yeah, there are some interesting comments, but we have to find them. The rest is junk. We don't care. So now, yeah, we are working on different techniques to satinize all this information. Work in progress, but still quite interesting. Okay, so when you have some satinized data, we can go to the social networks. And now we have done is we have picked on different developers, and we want to analyze. We have done a sentiment analysis. We just to see how happy or angry they are in Twitter, for example. So we did that. Let's see. Okay, can you guys see the names? Perfect. Okay, so we have Aircrack, John Carmack, developer of the Doom game, ID software. Then Damian Hogan is a developer for Raspberry Pi. Nmap, TensorFlow from Google, VLC. Who do you guys think is the more angry person here? From these six, one of them is more angry than the others. Can you guys make a guess? Who's the most angry person here? No guesses? Okay, tough cow. So actually, we go to John Carmack, developer of the Doom game. As you can see here, actually, he has in Twitter, we took around 300 comments, something like that, and we analyzed that to see if they're happy, angry, or neutral. So actually, in case of Joe Carmack, he's more angry than happy, so negative is around 70, I don't see, 79, I think, 76. And in happiness, he is 53, so something like that. So actually, he's more angry than happy on Twitter. Hopefully not in real life, but in Twitter he is. And so that was quite interesting to see there. And the most happy from these guys, in all these six, is TensorFlow. Actually, there's a lot of, I don't know, I guess these guys in Google are happy, I don't know. Actually, yeah, it's positive, I think it's 36 or something like that, negative 8. Not bad at all. So I guess they are quite happy in Google, working in Google in the TensorFlow, doing big data. So yeah, we can do a lot of different things, different analysis to get a feeling of the developers. Okay. So, Tintorera. Tintorera is one of the tools I've been working. This is more like a pet project on the side. And it's source code intelligence. What Tintorera does, it compiles inside GCC compiler. So it's a static analysis tool you can use when you are compiling projects. And what it do is take the source code as you compile and takes a lot of intelligence from the source code. And we can do a lot of interesting stuff with this. And now we are building all this open source intelligence I'm talking here into this tool. But we are doing much more with this tool looking for security bugs to analyze code. So an example of Tintorera. Okay, we're there. So Tintorera is a tool that works inside GCC, static analysis that builds when you are building a code. So what it does is, for example, Nginx. We have taken the source code of Nginx web server and get an idea. Right now, we are not looking about vulnerabilities. We can do that, but what we're looking for is to understand the source code as soon as possible without reading it. So now we have generated this document from all the Nginx source code. And it's telling me how many files, functions, basic blocks, line of code, different type of API. We have identified different API calls in the source code. All the different gimples. There's internal stuff inside GCC compiler. And here we have all the different files. One of the interesting things about this is it also tries to calculate how long it will take me to review the entire source code. For the Nginx server, this is the last version, it will take pretty much more than 2 weeks, full time, to review the entire source code of Nginx server. But hopefully this tool can help me to narrow that. So, So this is the entire source code there. We have all the functions on the different names, the complexity of the function, higher complexity, perfect. Usually chances are there, hopefully I can find some security back there. So I'm looking for that, and the complexity in the green, yellow. I'm looking for red. When I see red, here, red, I can go, let's see, first to the file name. I can see how many functions in this name, the call graph, relationship between the functions. And now, for example, I can go to this function. Is that one. Okay, so we have the function there, some metrics, the return values, parameters of the function. So I'm looking. So now I'm trying to understand the code without reading the code, more or less. We have the entire function code here. We have the basic blocks of the source code. If you're doing reverse engineering, something like this should be quite familiar. Same stuff. And here, so we have also the green pill. We can see the basic blocks in code. So that gives us a lot of things. So now tutorial is available in GitHub, in our repo, and you can download it and use it. Right now, it only works with GCC. That's something we have to change, but it will take some time. Okay, moving forward. So actually you can also do like regular regex expressions, and you can find a lot of stuff in source code. For example, regex is your friend, right? And data we are looking for, like IP, links, emails, so the things we were talking before, like all the open source patterns, like domain names, URLs, Twitter's account, alias, in this case, comments. So there's a lot of stuff we can look in source code. For example, here there's an expression here in TensorFlow. For example, I have to do a pen testing in this company. What's that? I'm not sure. Okay, time up. Okay. So for example, just using regular expressions, I can look for stuff in source code. For example, here we have downloaded the entire TensorFlow code, and we're looking for emails. For example, let's say I have to do pen testing for this company. Instead of doing Google searches and all that stuff, as usually we do, I can go to the source repo and do this several regular expression there and get a lot of info. For example, here I did a regex looking for email address, and now I have a bunch of email addresses. Now I can create a list of different email accounts. I can get an idea of the usernames, policy, or whatever I want to do with these email accounts, right? But now I have a really nice list. And companies start putting a lot of information into the source code, because nobody thinks that source code can be dangerous. Okay, I will skip this, just in case. So now, for example, looking all this source code, I can get a lot of information depending on how active this company is in terms of the source code. But sometimes you can get a lot of information there. And now, for example, I have my list with my email accounts, with my domains, IPs, whatever. Tokens, sometimes you find credentials, tokens, and interesting stuff there you cannot really use. Now I have all that data, and now I can switch to all the different tools I've been already using, like Maltego, ReconNG, data exploit, or also write my own custom scripts. For example, I was talking in DEF CON with the data exploit guys, and they are telling me they're also looking into ways how to implement the things I've been talking about. They want to do something similar, but they're still working what to do, so it's hard. I'm doing the same thing, right? We're still figuring out ways how we can implement these techniques into how to automatize all this stuff. So some of the conclusions here. Now I hear a lot that data is the new oil. Perfect. So I will say that if data is the new oil, source code for sure is the new gold. Because we can find a lot of information there. For example, we can find open source intelligence information we can use, like emails, the different stuff we have just seen. We can also find sensitive information there. Sometimes you can find credentials, tokens, all other stuff. We can extract all the comments and do some kind of sentiment behavior analysis there. And also we can also find vulnerabilities. I was looking for all when I was looking all these reports, I have found already vulnerabilities I was not looking for. I was looking for the bad words, I was looking for comments, and that way I was able to find different type of vulnerabilities. So that's nice. And of course, code reports are usually or usually less monitored. A lot of companies now, or well, I will not say a lot, but some companies usually now they're doing monitors. Oh, this is falling. Okay, so they are doing more monitors of the social networks and all that stuff. So when we're doing a pen testing, we don't want to get caught. So for example, now code reports allow us to get a lot of information about usually a target without going usually the traditional ways in social networks or stuff like that. And for sure, code reports are usually not that monitored. So we can take advantage about that. Okay, so next steps. So I was mentioned before that this is a work in progress, so there's a lot of things to be done. Yeah, we have to improve the tools a lot. We have to automatize this as much as we can. We have to do better comment analysis and classification of the comments, applying some natural language techniques into the comment analysis, for sure. And then we have to also integrate to Datasploit or ReconNG, very popular tool for reconnaissance. So yeah, so there's a lot of things to be done here. If you guys are interested in this field, go for it. And I think I haven't pretty much covered all my bases right now. Do you guys have any questions? No? Perfect. So the other thing is I want to wish good luck to all the teams tomorrow and enjoy the CTF. Thanks.